Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Haley Simpson, and I am here to talk to you about the study of mortuary science and how it is not just a dead man's world. According to the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention, on average, 2.6 million people die each year. And although the healthcare industry has improved dramatically across the last century, the funeral industry has also improved as well. For those of you who don't know, mortuary science is basically the study of dead bodies. A degree of mortuary science can prepare an individual to become a future mortician and/or funeral director. Some duties of a mortician include body retrieval, embalming, cremation, funeral directing, and consulting with the families. As expected, this profession requires various tolerances and various physical aspects that are not commonly associated with women. After some research, however, I can argue that the negative stereotypes that are commonly associated with women in any STEM field are essential attributes that are required for a career in mortuary science. I can also conclude that these traits support the fact that women are a necessity in this field. Due to the fact that I am a woman who aspires to be in this industry, I will reveal the history of mortuary practices and how the initial involvement of women in this area shaped this field. Then, I explore how the funeral industry became a national business and how men took over the profession. Finally, I disclose how modern women are re-entering the field and taking back their rights as a career and advocating for future women who want to be in this business. Now, you may be thinking that the field of mortuary science is a very morbid field and that women would not be able to handle the gruesomeness and emotions that come along with this career. However, it may come to shock you that women were the initial pioneers behind this career. According to Rentandero, historically, women were the primary takers for the dead. Back then, women tended to the dead, mainly because death happened in the home, and there was no funeral service or industry that would take care of the bodies after they passed. The woman would bathe, dress, and make up the bodies for the wake, while the men would just build the coffins and dig the graves. However, as the funeral industry became larger after the 19th century, the Civil War, and President Lincoln's public funeral train, the practice of embalming became more publicly accepted and transformed into a business. Once this industry grew, women were pushed out of mortuary practices and the men stepped in. With the rise of the industry, stereotypes against women rose as well. Such stereotypes where women were too emotional, too fragile, too weak, and too involved, etc. However, business owners experienced difficulty when female and child corpses came into their funeral establishments. The families did not want the male mortician to see their naked mother or child and would prefer a woman embalmer to perform the service. This is where Lena D. Odu steps in. Odu got word of this common issue and moved to the United States to master the skill of embalming herself. She studied under Frank E. Campbell, one of the first founders of the first mortuary schools in the United States, and she founded her own embalming institute under his establishment, where she handled all the women and children that came into his business. Later, she founded the Women's Licensed Embalmers Association to inspire and advocate for other women who aspire to be in this field. As the turn of the 21st century came about, women in this field decided that they deserved a lot more recognition and opportunities in their profession. One woman in particular who was challenging the entire industry was Caitlin Doty. Caitlin is a mortician and a funeral home owner in Los Angeles, California. Not only was she a woman in this field who constantly faced discrimination as she worked up to get her degree, but now she currently faces discrimination as she practices alternative forms of death services. She founded the online blog, The Order of the Good Death, as an open space for people to talk about death in various ways and not be discriminated against. While the funeral industry has come a long way, there can still be so much done to further the involvement of women in this profession. All of the characteristics that were once seen as negative stereotypes associated with women, such as being too fragile, too emotional, too nice, are now essential attributes that are required to have a successful mortuary business and funeral home. Women were once the pioneers of the death industry and pushed out by men. Through the efforts of Lena D. Odu and Caitlin Doty, women are now empowered and thrive in this business. Through the efforts of these two powerful women, the amount and role of women in the mortuary field has changed dramatically. According to Ron Tondero, as of 2011, 57% of mortuary school graduates are women, as compared to 5% in 1970. As a future mortician and funeral director, I am excited to see how my attributes as a woman will enhance my ability to run my own business successfully. Thank you for listening and have a great day.